Make a heart-shaped cake with or without a heart-shaped pan using this technique. If you don't have a heart-shaped pan, you can make a heart using a round pan and a square or rectangular pan. Notice that your cake layers don't have to be perfect. You're going to cover them with frosting, so if parts of your cakes crumble when you take them out of the pans, it's fine. I've used my 6-inch perfect chocolate cake batter to make a 9 by 13-inch sheet cake, and I'm cutting it into 6 squares to make 6 heart-shaped cakes of 1 layer each. I like to chill my cake layers before assembling and frosting the cake, so I put my layers in large Ziploc bags in the freezer for 15 to 30 minutes. You can do this before or after cutting the cakes, and it makes them firmer and less crumbly, and easier to handle. You'll also need 1 round cake for each heart-shaped cake, which should be the same width and height as the square cake. Cut this in half, and these will make the 2 bulges on the top of the heart. You can use any filling and frosting for this. I'm using my 4-minute buttercream. To assemble the cake, pipe 3 dots of frosting onto a cake board, and then press the square cake into 1 dot. Spread or pipe frosting along the cut side of the 2 semicircles and then press those into the other 2 dots on the cake board, pushing them against the square cake to attach them. Voila! A heart! Now cover the cake with a thin layer of frosting, which is called a crumb coat, because it's going to trap all of the crumbs that come off the cake. This layer of frosting prevents crumbs getting into your final layer of frosting. Don't worry about making it super neat because it's going to be covered up with more frosting soon, but make sure it completely covers the top and sides of the cake, right down to the cake board, so that there's no exposed cake, which means no exposed crumbs, because those would get into the final layer of frosting. Put the cake in the freezer for 15 minutes or the fridge for 30 minutes to set this crumb coat, and meanwhile tint the frosting for your final layer if you haven't already done that. You can use the same colour of frosting for the crumb coat and final coat, but if you're frosting several cakes at once like I am, it's quicker to do a plain white crumb coat and then tint the frosting for each cake after that. For the final layer, I like to start with the top of the cake, spreading the frosting all over the top and all the way over the edges of the cake so that it sticks out, and this prevents air gaps later. Spinning your cake on the turntable like this while holding your offset spatula at a slight angle will smooth the frosting beautifully. Now spread frosting onto the sides, pushing it down to the cake board and up above the top edge of the cake, making a wall or a lip around the top edge of the cake. And again, this will prevent air gaps and give you a super sharp angle around that top edge. Scrape around the cake with a cake comb, starting at either the tip of the heart or the indent between the 2 bulges, and spinning the cake to smooth the frosting. Make sure you push the cake comb right into the indent between the bulges to really define that part of the heart shape. If there are any air pockets or indents in your frosting, spread some more frosting over those areas and scrape again with your cake comb until the sides of the cake are nice and smooth. For the top of the cake, push sideways with a clean offset spatula to push that lip of frosting over the edge and then lift it off with your offset spatula. Scrape it into a bowl, wipe your offset spatula clean on a towel or paper towel, and repeat all the way around the cake. By applying a crumb coat of frosting first and letting that set before spreading on this final layer of frosting, you'll notice that there are absolutely no crumbs visible in the frosting on any of these heart-shaped cakes. The technique I'm using in this tutorial is the same technique I would use for any shape of cake. And the key points are to attach each section of the cake to the cake board and to each other using frosting as glue, to chill your cake layers before frosting them so that they're firmer and less wobbly, to do a crumb coat and let it set before applying a final coat of frosting, and to spread the frosting on the top of the cake so that it goes over the edges and on the sides of the cake so that it goes up above the top edge so that you can create a level top on the cake and sharp angles down to the sides. Shaved cakes only take a few minutes longer to assemble and frost than a regular round cake, but the result looks so pretty, even before adding any decorations. I hope this tutorial has been useful. Ask me any questions in the comments and visit my cake school for hundreds of cake decorating techniques and designs, and join my Club Plus for access to every master course, mini course and live workshop. The link for my cake school is in the top of the screen, or go to britishgirlbakes.com. Thanks for watching.